Hey guys, I wanted to do a tutorial video on how to read the sheet. That's the biggest question that I get from a lot of people. So here on our MLB sheet, there's so much data. If you're not real savvy with it, it can be overwhelming. So I want to show you guys kind of what I look at daily and some of the important stats to go off of. Now I'm trying to tailor it to where everything is on this daily stacks tab. So whether you're sports betting, whether you're doing fantasy sports, season long, DFS, you can go to this. Now I do a lot of sports betting along with daily fantasy sports and season long, so I'm trying to get everything put in this one tab. Now you'll notice here at the bottom there's also a hitters tab that breaks down a bunch of information, a pitcher tab that breaks down a bunch of information, and I also have kind of a power rankings tab, and we'll run over those at the end because I believe those are less important. So what I'm going to focus on here is this daily stacks tab. So each game is side by side, and this is something new that I just added today. So basically for sports betting it was something else I was looking at. So about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we didn't have this home away split, we didn't have this record thing, this is new today, and we didn't have this BVP information here. But we could come in and we could see the players that are in the projected starting lineup, if they're a lefty, righty, or a switch hitter, their WOBA versus pitcher hand, and then their OB ISO. OB ISO is just OBP plus ISO. And then we had a projection. I don't really like projections in baseball because it's so random. Baseball is more stacks. So I've got the last 7 fantasy points per game, the last 14 fantasy points per game, and in the last 14 days, what is their ceiling game? So if you're looking here, like you can see Kepler's got a 30-point game and Rosario has a 29-point game. Actually, this whole team is stacked. But if you come over here to Chicago, let's say James McCann, his last 14-day ceiling is 9 points. You know, that might be someone that you want to go ahead and exclude from a stack. If he hasn't had one decent game in the last 2 weeks, he's someone I'm going to look by. But you got Jimenez over here who's got a 30-pointer at $3,500. You know, maybe you want to look that route. But this is going to help you either pick sports betting games, find stacks, or find pitchers that are going up against a weak team. So this is what we're going to look at. This whole thing right here. So this is one game, and this is one team matchup. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to explain real quick. So you've got Minnesota. This is going to list if they're home or they're away. And then you've got the total runs in the game, so you can quickly see what the over-under is. And then over here, this is going to be home for the home team, away for the away team. So these are their current numbers, home or away, how they rank of all 30 MLB teams. And then these are their away numbers. I like to glance and say, okay, they're 114, that's good, but what are they on the road? 135. And then you can quickly see the difference. So red is they're worse, green is better. Strikeout rate I don't pay attention to a ton unless there's a big jump. But what I'm looking at here is I'm looking at Minnesota's WRC plus at home versus Chicago's WRC plus on the road. Now you can see Chicago, they have an 82.68 on the road and a 97 at home. So they are much better at home, and they're about 18% below league average. 100 is league average on the road. And then Minnesota at home is about 14% above league average. But you can see on the road, Minnesota is absolutely crushing it as well. And then also you can just glance down these ranks and see at home, they rank 5th, 4th, 8th, and 2nd in these stats here. And then Chicago's 22nd, 22nd, 30th, that's dead last, and 24th on the road. So that gives you a good indicator that Minnesota is probably the team you want to go with here. The projected run total is up here in the yellow, so they're projecting Minnesota at 6.2 runs, and then Chicago at 4.3. So this is what Vegas has this 10.5 split at. And then I got runs a game. Now it's season in red and last 7 here, so I can see they're averaging 6 runs a game on the year, which is phenomenal, and 8.3 over the last 7 days. And then Chicago, they're at 4.3 on the season, and only 3 runs per game over the last week. So this 8.3 to 3, huge jump in the favor of Minnesota. And then also I have a little power ranking, which is on this Power Ranks tab, and we'll go over that later, but you can see that number if you want to. So you can see Minnesota is a 142.9, and then Chicago is a 98.8. And then down here we've got our records. I just brought this in today because I kept going back and looking at it and I really like it, so I can quickly see, okay, what's the streak? Minnesota's won 5 games. Last 10 they're 9-1. Last 20 they're 15-5, and last 30 they're 22-8. So I put these in green so I can see what's the streak and what's their last 10. So I can come over here and say, okay, they've lost 2, 4, and 6 in their last 10. So this also favors Minnesota. Then we come down here into this middle section, and we've got the projected players, the hand, WOBA, ISO, fantasy points, ceiling, salary, and then this is our BVP data. So this is one of my favorite things to look at, and I moved it over to this sheet so I could quit going back over here and scrolling and then coming back over here, because I wanted it all in one spot. And how you read this is you've got at-bats and hits here, so you can see these guys are 3 for 6, 2 for 7, 0 for 5, 1 for 2, 2 for 3, 1 for 4, and then I even total it up down here to make it easy. So the projected hitters are 10 for 34, batting .294 with 3 home runs, 6 RBIs, and only 5 Ks. I may put a strikeout rate right here. That's something that I'm debating, and that's against the pitcher they're facing, Dylan Covey. So 294 across 34 at-bats. I'd like to see 50, 60 at-bats before I really look at it, but it's good information to have. And you can see these highlight in green if they're over a certain number. So you can see WOBA's versus this pitcher is huge. Even Buxton's got a 495, which that's basically a home run. So not a lot of data, but there's some there. And then you can, if you're looking at this, so let's say, I don't think anyone here, okay, let's say Kepler. He's 3 for 6 with a home run and no strikeouts and 6 at-bats. So I'd say that's, I don't want to say good information, it's only 6 at-bats, and typically you need 15 to 20 before you start to see a trend, but still, that's something. So he's hit Dylan very well. So 500 average, 752 WOBA, and he's on fire. 15.4 fantasy points per game last 7, 11.9 in the last 14, and he's got the highest ceiling in the last 14 at 52. So if you're going to play this, I would make sure Kepler's in there. The other thing I look at is I say, okay, here's Kepler. He's a lefty. So Covey, how does he do against lefties? Okay, these are going to be left-handed numbers. These are going to be right-handed numbers. So versus lefties, he has a 9.85 xFIP, which is probably one of the worst in the MLB, a low 4.9 K rate, a massive 2.6 whip, and he's given up a 386 WOBA. So he's terrible versus left-handed hitters, and Kepler is a left-handed hitter with massive numbers. He's doing really well recently, and he's got some decent BVP numbers. So he's someone that I would definitely put in my list. And you can go down and say, okay, Polanco, Marwin, they're switch hitters. Rosario, he's also a lefty. Castro's a lefty. Now Castro has great numbers. And in this column, the green, I picked the top 4 or top 5 and put them in green. Actually, I do the top 4, I'm sorry. And then that's what I use to calculate this down here on the value meter. So we've got the hitter hands and then how the pitcher is doing versus the hand. You'll see some of these where versus lefties it might say no pull. I've tried to go in and manually add that because the default I think is 10 innings facing that handed of batter. But then I also pulled in the 2018 numbers, so you could look and say, okay, Minnesota's facing this pitcher, Dylan Covey, and this is what his numbers are this year, this is what they were last year. So you could see, is it a crazy scenario? Like, for example, over here, Odorizzi, you know, this year he's got a 392 xFIP versus lefties. Well, last year he was 5.11, so he's gotten better. And then this 4.4 to 5, that is pretty much about the same, and you can see the whip and other numbers. And so this team here, this is all their information. I love this section right here because you can quickly scroll down this sheet and see what the projected starting lineup those hitters have done against that pitcher. You can see how many at-bats, you can see how many strikeouts, and you can see this quick average. So that's one big thing that I do look at. Another thing, this stack thing, I'm still tweaking with it a little bit, but this is just average of the top 4 WOBA guys over the last 7, last 14, the ceiling, and then the salary. And then I've got this little value meter here that I stuck in there to see if I would pay attention to it. And so you can see the top 4 WOBA guys, what their value is based on current salary. So 159, 153. This one doesn't calculate because there's some missing information here. We don't have all of the data. But if you see anything around 2 to 2.5, that's really good. So something to keep an eye on. I may word it differently or change it in the future. And then down here, when you come down here and you're looking at this pitcher, you can see their stats versus lefties, righties. The reason I like this is you might have someone that's got a xFIP of 6.0 to a left-handed hitter, but then maybe they're like a 1.9 to righties. Well, then it depends on the lineup. If they're facing a bunch of lefties, they're probably going to get shelled. If they're facing a bunch of righties and one lefty, they're probably going to pitch around that lefty and he's going to have a really good game. But if you look at total xFIP, you don't see that split. So that's why I like looking at the lefty versus righties. And the whip, like this one, 259 to 1, that's good. 1 is really good to right-handed hitters. I'll give him credit there. But his K9 is only 2.1, so he's not striking out a ton of batters. And even all of last year, he was only 5.4 to righties and still had a terrible whip. So Minnesota is a pretty chalky stack today since they're projected at 6.2. And then the other thing is, this pitcher, no matter how he does, how does the other team do versus the pitcher hand? So if Dylan's a righty or a lefty, it's going to go back in, and these numbers here, this opponent team splits down here, this is how the team does. So Minnesota versus the handedness of Dylan Covey. So you can see their strikeout rate, their WRC plus, their average, and their WOBA, and then how this ranks. So these numbers here, so this is good for the batting and bad for the pitcher. So just think of this whole column here as pitching data, and so this is the rank. So they have the 29th lowest strikeout rate. So I think I said that right. So a WRC plus versus pitcher hand of 116 is 27th out of 30 teams. So they've got the third best versus pitcher hand. So that's good for Minnesota. If these numbers are low, like 1, 1, 3, and 4, that's good for the pitcher because that means they have the best matchups versus that team. And some teams, they just hit lefties well, like we saw with Arizona last night. It's May 26, 2019, and I did a breakdown video yesterday of the early slate because I didn't have time to do an article, and I figured I can babble longer than I can write. And one of the things I talked about in there was Arizona, and they crushed left-handed pitching. And so I wrote down to stack that game and also bet it, and I did. I bet Arizona in the over. I think the over was 8, and they ended up blowing him out. So that was an easy win, and I wouldn't have seen that until I was making the video. But that's something to go look at. So in this one, I'm glancing at this saying, okay, Minnesota, their WRC plus is better. They're on a hot streak. These guys are killing it in the top of the lineup. These guys down here are cold. Blue is cold. Green is good. Red's kind of on fire. And then you've got this yellow and orange. It's kind of a middle ground. And then once you have all that information and you know how the team is doing, their streak, home, away, all this good stuff, how many runs they've been scoring, BVP history, hitting 294, and then you've got the pitcher. Now the biggest question is, when this pitcher comes out of the game, which is usually between the 5th and the 6th inning at some point, what's the bullpen look like? Are they a lockdown bullpen that's going to likely hold on to the win? Or is it like the Washington Nationals and they're just going to blow this thing out of the water and lose the game, and this pitcher's not likely to get the win? So we come over here and we've got our handy-dandy bullpen breakdown that we just added this last week. And this is great for sports betting if you're live betting games or if you're picking games. So give an example, in our Flick chat, there's a link on the website at CheatSheetPros.com if you want to join us. One of the guys in the sports betting was talking about doing the Washington run line when Strasburg was throwing. I didn't see it before the game started, but when I did see the comment that night, I told him don't ever take the Washington run line because their bullpen is one of the bottom 3 and they are absolutely awful, and we'll look at them real quick. But this is the bullpen breakdown. Now this is the bullpen for Chicago. So you're looking at these batters here, and then this is basically what they're facing. They're facing this pitcher, and then they're facing this bullpen. So if you just want to be quick and say, hey, what's the bullpen? We have it ranked 25th. Now, we don't pull that off of a site. That's kind of a custom rank that we put together. And then if you want to go deeper and see the numbers, they're right here. I've got their xFIP, WHIP, home run per 9, batting average against, and K9 rate. And we take a mix of like the xFIP, the WHIP, the home run a 9, walk a 9, and a couple other stats, and we use it to kind of custom rank them. And it's pretty similar to what you would see if you went to like MLB or Baseball Reference, but they come in at 25th. So I look at this, I say Covey sucks, especially the lefties, and then they've got a terrible bullpen, so Minnesota's probably going to blow this game out of the water. Now down here, the stack score, I put this in here because if you're someone that you don't like numbers like me and you don't want to look at all this shit, and you just want to say, hey, I want to know who to stack, I've got 5 minutes for lineups, come down here and say, okay, this is a 10.5 game stack score, 174.3, we'll just say 175, okay, I'm going to stack them. Which one of these hitters do I want? Who's doing well? Who's hot? Who's cold? Anything over 150 is usually what I'm going to stack. If it's like 135 and there's something I see that I like, I'll go ahead and stack that. But anything in the 170, 180s is really good. And let me look at my phone real quick and see what happened in this game. So Odorizzi over here, he went 5.1 innings, no runs, only allowed 1 hit, 9 strikeouts, and Minnesota won 7-0. So I had a big bet on Minnesota, parlayed with a bunch of other stuff, and so that was a good lockdown game. And I basically got that by looking at the stats here, looking at the bullpen, seeing the streak, and then looking at these home numbers up here. So that's how I came up with that. And then if you go over, look at this side. The nice thing is this is the same for every single game, so you can scroll through here real quick and find the stuff you want. And so if I'm looking at this, Odorizzi, I have him on 2 of my fantasy teams season long, so I know he's been doing really well. So I can look at his stats and say, okay, he's dominant to lefties, he's probably going to see a handful of righties. I'm looking at these numbers, they're cold. This couple blue guys, there's nobody over 10 points per game, there's a couple missing. They do have some high WOBAs. Their ceiling games aren't anything scary. Chicago is a decent team, but look at these BVP averages. It's only 69 at-bats, which I think is pretty healthy, especially when it's spread out among this many different players. But they're batting .203, 14 of 69, no home runs, 20 strikeouts and 69 at-bats, and a .203 batting average. Yeah, give me some Odorizzi there. Now, I know it's easy to look back and say, oh yeah, they won the game, Odorizzi did well, but I'm just trying to explain what you would look at. So over here, you can see Covey's probably going to struggle. Odorizzi, just on his BVP numbers off facing these people, I mean, look at their average against him. 167, 143, 222, 176, 182. These are terrible numbers. And then also you come up here and you see this runs per game. The last 7 days, 3 runs. And how they're ranked, I mean, that's an easy look at Minnesota there for sports betting, for stacking, or whatever you need. So that's the main part of this sheet. And while we're looking at this tab, I want to scroll down here and let me find the game. There was another game I wanted to show you so you could see these different numbers. So when I put this together, I usually run through it real quick to see if anything is jumping out. Like here's one, the Yankees, only 38 at-bats, but they're batting .316 versus Duffy. And then mediocre bullpen, which the Royals have been terrible, but they've got a win streak of 7, 9-1 last 10. And right before I came in the house, that game was tied 7-7 going into extra innings. 7-7 or 9-9, I can't remember. And then that's the Minnesota game. And if it says testing, that's a question that I get quite a bit. That means something's missing. So if this says no info or something's blank here, if it didn't pull a number or there's a DK salary missing and that's a top guy, it just falls back to a testing. So I'm still pulling it in. I've got most of them in. Here's an interesting one. Brandon Woodruff. Look at his BVP. Only 29 at-bats, so again, take it with a grain of salt. But 3 for 29 with 10 Ks, batting 103. I know he put up like 35 DK points today. I had locked him in, but I didn't get the right stacks. And then after that, He's got the 5th ranked bullpen behind him. These are the numbers. So I'm looking at Woodruff, great BVP here, 5th ranked bullpen behind him. They get the lead, they can get the win. He had a really good game. Also, Philadelphia on the road versus home, they're a little worse on the road. They've been doing good recently, though. They've got 5.7 runs per game. They're on a win streak of 3, 7-3 last 10. So decent, but I think he was priced at somewhere around 7,000, 7,400 on DK. So that's how I came up with Woodruff. And then let me scroll up here. There was one game I wanted to point out, and you can see like Houston versus Erod, batting 435, but again, that's only 23 at bats, so I'm not really looking at that. Verlander, 146 at bats, batting 192. That's a little better. Let me scroll up here. And so here, only 25 at bats, 16 at bats. But there was I think, was it a bullpen difference? Okay, so here. So this Washington game, if you want to bet an over, you can come down here and say, okay, look at the bullpens. Now, I know the Nationals have an awful bullpen. It's 27th. Just terrible numbers. I mean, 254 average against isn't bad, but almost a 1.6 whip and 4.7 xFIP. So, or I'm sorry, this is the Miami bullpen. So Caleb Smith's a great pitcher, but terrible bullpen. So once Smith comes out, you're going to get 3.5 innings of a bottom 4 bullpen. And then you come over here to Eric Fetty, and we don't have enough numbers for him facing righties. And he's got a pretty good matchup against Miami. You can see their 5th, 1st, 3rd, and 1st versus pitcher hand. But then the bullpen's 28th. They've got a 5.7 xFIP. They're giving up a 284 batting average. Washington's just been absolutely terrible. So this is a game maybe you want to look at an over, especially if you get something with a good BVP on both sides and 2 bad bullpens. Bet the over, bet the team over. You can look and see who's hot, who's cold. No one here really jumps off. Like Kendrick, 1.1 points per game last 7, 3.4 and a ceiling of 7. No, probably not going to use him. But just something else to look at. And then bullpen, like here's a game. So Mets, let's quickly break this one down. So the Mets at home have a 111 WRC plus, which is 7th. That's good. On the road, they only have a 53, which that's a 58-point difference. That's the biggest gap in the entire MLB. So you only want to play the Mets at home, and they're at home today. You don't want to play them on the road, and they're facing Detroit, who they're kind of terrible, both sides of the plate. The Mets have been bad, but they're doing a little better. They're 5-5 last 10. They're on a 1-game win streak, which isn't anything crazy. We don't have any BVP versus this Spencer Turnbull guy. But we know that Detroit's got, right now, the worst bullpen with a 5.6 xFIP, a 1.82 whip, and giving up almost 2 home runs per 9. So even if this guy has a good game, if the bats can get somewhat hot, they can tag that bullpen. And then you've got Wheeler, who's been up and down but pretty solid for the most part, and he's got a massive matchup. He'll be the chalk pitcher today, and he's got a 26.1% K rate. That's Detroit's. Remember, that's their stats versus Wheeler's pitcher handedness. So that's the 6th best strikeout rate, the 2nd best WRC plus, the best batting average against, and the 2nd best WOBA. And then the Mets have the 10th ranked bullpen. So I'm just looking at this saying, okay, I like Wheeler over Turnbull. Miami at home is much better than Detroit on the road. Neither one of them have been doing anything crazy. BVP data, there's nothing here. 1 for 6. I'm not even going to look at that. It's not enough information. So I'm going to go to bullpens. 30th, 10th. Okay, so the Mets are going to get the advantage in the bullpen, advantage for the starting pitching, advantage at home. So I'm probably going to look this way and say, okay, the Mets are probably going to win this game. Wheeler should get the win. I think that's plus 4 points on DraftKings. So you can factor that in based on what his price is. If it's a $6,000-$7,000 pitcher, that 4-point win is a lot more valuable than a $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 pitcher, so to speak. But again, if you're scrolling quick, just look at these stack scores and say, okay, 105. We look at that. That's Tampa Bay. He's going to start the game, maybe throw 1 or 2 innings. They got a decent bullpen behind. But look at this team. Cleveland is ice cold. Oh my God. So last 7 games, look at this. 4 points per game, 3.2, 4.9, 4.9, 3.2, 1.4, 1.6, 3. That is awful. Where's my phone? All right, I'm going to look and see how Cleveland did today. I'm just curious. I've been running around since it's a holiday weekend, and I did some lines, I did some sports bets, but I didn't get a lot of time to sit and break this down. So Cleveland got beat 6-3, and at the start of the 8th inning, they had no runs. So they were getting shut out, and then whoever this guy is, Kolarek, he ended up giving up a couple runs, and Drake gave up a run. So pretty much Tampa Bay shut him down till the very end, and then they got their whopping 3 runs. And then come over here, Bauer. And so this third-ranked bullpen behind Trevor Bauer. Bauer's been terrible to lefties, decent to righties. Matchup isn't the best. BVP batting .333. But if you look, okay, here's a good example of it. You see 30 at-bats, but 28 of them are coming from Avisel Garcia. So you take that away, and there's only 2 at-bats, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. And I don't think there were a ton of BVP data. Like here's one, batting .222, 45 at-bats. And then I'm going to look a little deeper, and okay, that's 3 guys that make up those numbers. What I want to see is 6 to 7 different guys having 8 to 10 at-bats apiece. Then that's when it becomes valuable information. So that is how you break down the daily stack sheet. I'm also going to look at bringing in the Vegas number and sticking it over here so I can see the spread. Or I might put it over here and then put the run line. Yeah, I might do that. I like that. But anyways, you've got all your information you could ever need for the game right here. If there's anything else you think you might want to see or replace some of this, let me know. I'd be happy to put it in there for you. And then, real quick, I just saw this, so I want to bring it up. So this value meter here, so you can see 1.3 or 2. Now 2.01 is really good, so that means if we're using the last 14-day point per game numbers based on the salary today of the WOBA guys, they're gonna give you a value of 2.1. So glancing at this, Toronto would have been a good stack. Now, I did not stack Toronto today. I'm going to look here in a second and see what they did. But just looking at this 2.01, like, yeah, they got a little cold. Rowdy jumped up there, and then everything else. Sogard kind of brings it down because he's one of the 4 that's going to fall in there because he's got a high WOBA. But look at these prices, 39, 38, 39, 38, 35. You can fit anybody you want in DraftKings if you stack 5 of these guys. And I think they did well. So give me 1 second here. Let me look on here. So we're looking for, yeah, the Blue Jays won the game 10-1. They scored 10 runs. And Smoke had 2 home runs. So you've got Justin Smoke right here, switch hitter, $3,900, doing decent, a massive OB ISO, and WOBA. So yeah, he had 2 home runs, and then Biggio hit a home run, Gurriel hit a home run, and then the top of the lineup, they had a bunch of good stats. So that would have been a good stack. I wish I would have seen that earlier. So anyways, that's all the time I'm going to spend on this. If there's something else that you want to see on the Daily Stacks tab, let me know. But this is the main thing that I look at when I'm looking for pitchers or I'm looking for stacks or sports bets. I look at this Daily Stack tab. That's the #1 thing I use. These other 3 tabs, I'm going to quickly run over them. So power ranks, you'll get this from me, and it's always sorted by runs per game last 7. And then I compare it to the season so I can see, is this team getting hot? All right, they're 4.1 to 6.5. It's San Diego, so I can see their other underlying numbers. And then we've got our own custom little power rankings. So you can see here, Houston's kind of fallen off a little bit. They've slid down in the last 7, but they've had some tough matchups. They're playing Boston, so that's expected. And then also, like team strikeout rates, you can come over here and say, okay, what team's striking out the most? All right, it's the Padres, the Tigers, and the White Sox. Those 3 have really high numbers. Or if you're over here and you're looking at these team strikeout rates, and you're like 24.3, is that good or is that bad? You can come over here and here's your range. It goes as low as 16.2 up to 27, and so that 24 is going to fall kind of right about the middle. And then if you want to see power, this OBP plus ISO, you can sort that up and say, okay, Houston's got the top, and then Minnesota, Texas, Cubs, Dodgers, Seattle, and then the worst teams, Miami, Toronto, Detroit, San Francisco, Cleveland, and you can kind of get an idea of the team that you want to target or stack, and then you can look into it a little bit more based on the pitcher or whatnot. The pitching tab, so I've got the DraftKings salary projection value, same with FanDuel. Again, I don't look at the projections. I think they're worthless in baseball. But what I'm going to look at is salary. I'll sort by this algo number, and I'll look at these top 10 guys. So we can see Woodruff is someone that we found on the daily stack sheet that we really liked. Tough matchup against Philadelphia, but at $6,600, he's got a 13.4% swinging strike rate. So this is something new that we had added. And that's really good. So out of all the black, he is probably one of the cheapest. Let's see, 92, 11.2, 97, 10,000, 95. That's a showdown slate, 64. So Staynek is the only other one that's got a massive one. But again, he's 1 or 2 innings and then out of the game. And then you've got Erod, who's been struggling at 72. So Woodruff has kind of came into my locks for today, and then I went with Wheeler. Just at 8,600, I could take him and Woodruff. They're 2 cheap pitchers, put them in there, and I could pretty much, I just stacked Minnesota, Colorado back and forth and left it at that. But you can come over here, you can sort by swinging strike rate and say, okay, who's got the highest? And then what I really like looking at are these 3 columns. So you've got their ERA split, and this is if they're home or away, wherever it is. And then you've got the XFIP split. So I'm basically looking at these 3, seeing if they change. So this is good, 238, 304, 338. The ERA is the number that DraftKings base their pricing off of, and the XFIP is an indicator of what it should be. So for example, Domingo has an ERA of 2.6, but his XFIP split is 4.17. So he's probably more expensive than what he's actually worth. It should be closer to 4 instead of 2.6, so that indicates that he's been lucky. And then Erod, he's just getting back in it. Woodruff, so 3.51 and 3.68, that's pretty close. I'd say he's right on par. He's been good. That one's good. So here's one. So Chris Paddock, he's got a 1.93 ERA and a 4.7 XFIP. Now I know his BABIP has been really lucky, but he's been really good. So he's been on the right side of luck, so he may be priced a little expensive at 10.4. If he was in the slate today, I was going to use him, but he got yanked at the end. And then you've got Archer, who's just been terrible. Let me see if there's any differences in here. You have Wheeler, who's got a 4.74. All right, here's a good example. So Wheeler's got a 4.74 ERA, but a 3.44 XFIP. So this indicates that he's a lot cheaper because they're pricing him based off 4.74, and it should be 3.44, so 8,600 is cheap for him. And so that's one of the ways that I came up with him, and he's got a decent swinging strike rate. If you see someone with a low swinging strike rate, like down in this blue range, less than 10, those are guys to be scared of because they're not missing any bats. And so you've got Hess, who Colorado was a big stack today. Leak, who Oakland destroyed. Roark. Yeah, Roark's another one. So he's got a 3.51 ERA, but a 5.4 XFIP and only a 9% swinging strike rate. I would be careful rolling him out, especially against the Cubs. And then Brett Anderson, kind of the same, so-so. And then Covey, the one we talked about stacking with Minnesota that won 7-0. You can see his ERA is 5.3, so he's dirt cheap. But his XFIP indicates that he sucks even more at 8.05, and he has a swinging strike rate of pretty much nothing at 6.3. So that's where we came up with Minnesota. Also on this sheet, that's usually the furthest that I go, and I use the daily stacks tab. But if you want to come here and see, this is how the opponent is versus the pitcher handedness. So you might come up here and sort this high to low and say, okay, Andrew Heaney's facing a team. Let me scroll back over here. So Andrew Heaney is a left-handed pitcher, and he's facing a team that is striking out 29.1% of the time versus lefties. Now the team striking out 25% of the time total, but 29 versus lefties. So that means it's 21 versus righties, so it's a 4% jump. So that's a good matchup for him. Stroman, he sucks, but he's got a good matchup. Anderson, Duffy, Fetty, good matchups versus the handedness. But again, most of those guys, 8.5 and 8.4 swinging strike rate, they can't take advantage of that, so that doesn't really matter. And then also on the current columns, that's what I'm focusing on, and the best 5 are highlighted in green. So you can see Fetty, Wheeler. So Wheeler's got a good matchup. And I'll just quickly glance across here and say, okay, Wheeler, green, green, green. All right, he's got a really good matchup. Detroit's batting 214 versus pitcher hand, 275 WOBA, 68.9 WRC plus, and he's going to get to face a pitcher. So that's how we came up with him today. So you can glance over, see those. If you want to go a little bit further, you can see pitcher home road splits. Some of them, they don't have enough data to look at till after the All-Star break, but I still import it just so I've got it. And what you'll notice is some of these will start jumping dramatically, where some players for some reason are unhittable at home and they get shelled on the road. I think Wei Yin Chin was the big one last year. He had like a 5 or 6 ERA on the road, but at home he was throwing like a 2.5. So it was just unbelievable how many times we could use him in DFS at home, and he would crush it, and then everybody would load up on him on the road. We would fade him, and then he would get killed. And then you have people like Bauer and Marquez, who they're starting to get some stats. So overall, their ERA is 3.95, 3.38, but then their split where they're playing at now is a lower 2.4, 2.08, so that's a big jump here. And I just come over here to XFIP. I'll sort it high to low and say, okay, where's the difference? This is going to show me the biggest differences, the jumps, and then you can look at the top or you can look at the bottom. So these bottom numbers, these are worse, so in a worse spot, and then these are in a better spot, which you can see 349 to 469 isn't a huge deal, etc., etc. And then if you want to see the pitcher stats versus each batter hand, you can come over here. I don't know if people use that or not. If I've got time, I look at it, but I really don't have a lot of time right now to joyride the sheet. And finally, the hitters tab. First thing I do is I sort by this algo high to low, and you can see right here, boom, this is going to be my first stack. Now, it's rare that you get this many guys from one team, but as soon as I opened up the sheet and ran it, I was like, okay, Minnesota's the top. Okay, I'm stacking Minnesota. That's one of my teams I'm putting in there for sure. I mean, they've got almost everybody up there. And then you could probably look at Cubs. You see a lot of Cubs logos up here. You see a couple Yankees. But if I have a team that jumps out like this, I'm usually saying, okay, the pitcher's terrible, the XFIP split's terrible, and they've been doing well over here. That's one of my stacks. Also, if you're looking for one-off pitchers, this is a good place to find them. So the pitcher, you can look at the split XFIP, and if they don't have the number, you got to scroll down a little bit and say, okay, which pitchers are in a bad spot? Covey is in a bad spot here against Minnesota. Turnbull's in a bad spot against them. Duffy's in a bad spot against the Yankees. Roark against Chicago. Hess versus Colorado. That's one way to find stacks. You can also come over here, and again, we've got DraftKings and FanDuel projections. And then the fantasy points per game, we've got their last 7, last 14, the value across last 14, and the last ceiling, or last 14 ceiling. I always come over here to value, sort it up, and then say, okay, who are we looking at? I don't even know who that guy is. JBJ, he's playing Verlander. No. Barnhart, no. Andrus, he's back. He's facing Heaney. $4,800, don't want to use him there. Josh Bell. Maeda, you could use Bell there. Bell's been on fire. And then I'm also looking at this algo to see. So the one that jumps out is Marwin Gonzalez facing Covey, and he's only $4,100. So if he was in the lineup, he's someone I would definitely use. And again, here's fantasy points per game, and then I bring the player's name over again just because you're doing a lot of scrolling. Here's BVP history. So if you don't want to look individually games, you can come over here and say, okay, WOBA, who's got the highest, and then you get these 3 at-bats, 2 at-bats, and then I'm going to come over here and say, okay, give me number filter greater than equal to 10. Say I want a minimum of 10 at-bats, and then I'm going to sort WOBA high to low, And then we've got Hicks, Andrus, Bryant, Carpenter, Votto, Chapman, Piscotty, Garcia, Ozuna, and you can see what their BVP numbers are. And one that jumps out to me right here is 20 at-bats, no strikeouts. So 8 for 20, batting 400, home run, 4 RBIs, but no strikeouts. Like 13 and 41, that's not bad, but none in 20, that's pretty solid right there. But that's one way to go through and kind of look at, some one-off hitters you might like. Find someone on a team that's batting in the top 6 that's priced in the $3,000 range on DK or low 4s that has a really good WOBA and at least 10 to 15 at-bats. And you can see some of these guys, 47, 41, 28. You can get some decent numbers there. And you can also see who's doing shitty. Like Yadier Molina, he's batting 077. It's 1 for 13, so it's not a ton, but still. And you can also see, like Goldschmidt, he's batting 200, 5 for 25, but 12 Ks. So he has 12 strikeouts and 25 at-bats versus the pitcher he's facing. So maybe he's someone you don't want to put in a stack, and you see that, and you're like, all right, I'm going to stack St. Louis, but I'm going to fade Goldschmidt, and maybe that's what moves you to the top of a GPP. And then again, we've got the stats versus pitcher handedness. So on the pitching tab, we had the team stats versus the pitcher hand. So on the batting tab, we have the pitcher's stats versus, the batting stats versus pitcher handedness. Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied now. Okay, so now you've got your average, WOBA, strikeouts, ISO, WRC+, OBP. So WOBA is one that I focus on, so you can see it's highlighted green. And this is the versus lefties and versus righties. So you can look here and say Chris Bryant, he's good on both sides of the plate. Some you'll get drastic, like who's this? Votto. Votto sucks this year, but he's got a 216 versus lefties and a 314 versus righties. And then here's a big one, Piscotty. So versus lefties, he's got a 431 and then a 277 versus righties. And you can kind of look and take this and say, okay, I only want to see versus right-handed pitchers, who's got the highest. So you're going to exclude those, come over here, and then you're going to say, okay, these guys are facing right-handed pitchers, and they've got massive numbers. So you got Mookie, Rizzo, Bryant, Moreland, Garcia, Fowler, and then you can flip it around and say, okay, now I want to see left-handers, and I want to see the largest that are facing left-handers, and you've got Eugenio, Haniger, Mazzara, Andrus. They've got massive WOBAs over there. So that's the main sheet there. Again, this is what I look at the majority of the time. I'll keep adding stuff to it. I'm going to bring in some Vegas spreads and stuff. But I wanted to run over it real quick because I get a lot of questions on how to read the sheet. And so that's kind of my rough breakdown on what I look at. It does take a lot of time. I mean, you can put 5 minutes into it and come up with some stacks, plays, pitchers, and lineups, or you could spend 4 hours looking at this thing. So I try to get it up as early as possible every day so people can look at it. I'd say 2 or 3 days a week I spend a good hour and a half just digging in the numbers and looking real deep. And then the other days I spend about 30 to 45 minutes looking over it, and I take notes and write stuff down. And if everything lines up, then that's how I kind of start building my lineups and making my sports bets. But anyways, I hope this video was helpful for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to join our Facebook group and let me know. It's facebook.com/groups/Hayes, HAZE, Sheets, SHEETS /. And that's our free Facebook group. And you can go to CheatSheetPros.com, and there is a link on the very front page of our Flick Chat. Feel free to join us. The Flick Chat does not cost anything. There's no membership required. And we've got things in there. We talk about MLB plays, NASCAR, WNBA, sports betting, football, baseball, basketball, playoff, showdown, anything you want. We've got a chat group, and the people see the messages in those specific chats, and they kind of chime in and they give you their plays, their thoughts, what they like. You can post what you like. So we're trying to build this up so we all win together. And we'll go from there, guys. So hopefully this helps you out a little bit.